was having this conversation with myself earlier because I talk to myself a lot, but like what does giving a crap look like?
It is literally putting a crap in somebody else's hands.
I think you're talking about gifting a crap. Gifting a crap. I was talking about giving a crap.
That's why I do to the toilet every morning.
Yeah, you gift the toilet a crap every morning. All right, but we're going to talk about what giving a crap doesn't look like. So. All right, guys, welcome back to Jerk Block Talk. I'm Jason Fernandez. We're here at CrossFit Rife, and today we're going to talk a little bit about presence and attitude. And one of the premises of doing this show or this channel is that we should never take anything for granted as far as like what people know and don't know for things to do. And today we're going to talk about things that you should not be doing when you're coaching a class. And there's some basic, if you haven't read like How to Win Friends and Influence People or a lesser known book called The Charisma Myth, I highly recommend you read them. Like How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of the greatest books for like how to create personal relationships probably ever written. And then The Charisma Myth is a much newer book, but has a lot of insight on just human interaction and basic things that you may or may not be doing in your daily interaction with people that can be good or bad. So big thing, right? So things you should not be doing when coaching a class. The first one is probably walking around holding a coffee cup.
What?
Yeah, you should not be walking around holding a coffee cup. So don't do that. And now I get it if it's like, if it's 6 a.m. and it's cold, I get it, but it gets cold in our gym before we turn the heat on and do that. Like, you need to get your coffee in and then either wear a sweatshirt or something, but don't walk around drinking that. The other thing you shouldn't be doing is like, let's say you worked out prior to, and you need to get your protein shake, like end your workout earlier, but don't be walking around hitting your shaker bottle, drinking all that crap. Like, there's not a whole lot of things that say I give a crap less than you walking around drinking when you should be interacting with people, coaching and correcting their movement, maybe putting your hands on people. Like, it's gonna be hard to give a really good tactile cue if I'm holding this coffee cup. Like, you're not gonna be able to do what you want. So, but there is probably something that says I don't give a crap less than holding a cup, which is this, right? So I have seen this, believe it or not. And again, the whole premise of the show is like, some people don't know that they're doing this. They don't know that this is bad. But like, if I was walking around the gym and just doing this when I'm supposed to be coaching, people are going to notice that. Like, this is probably the worst thing you could possibly ever do as far as giving a crap when coaching a class. Now, there are instances where like you may be doing something that is pertinent to the class. So for instance, like we have all of our session plans online, right? So if maybe I was doing some review for my session plan before the class, or maybe I was looking at something real quick. But here's the problem. Perception is reality, right? Whoever's in my class has no idea what I'm looking at as pertinent to the class. So if that's the case, if you want to do some review for your class, either write some notes on the board up here, so that you can do a quick checklist. Like, nobody's gonna fault you for that. Right up on the board. Maybe put a piece of paper in your pocket with some stuff written down, because when you pull that out, look at it, and then do something, that looks far better than it does when you pull out your phone and you start searching for some stuff, because they might think you're checking in or texting or some of that other stuff. But you have to understand that, again, perception is reality, and there's certain things that you can do that give the perception that you don't care about what's going on. Another one that's very subtle is just your posture and your stance. So hands in the pockets is another one that kind of says I'm kind of being lazy. So if you're walking around the class like this all the time, just my demeanor and my posture gives off the impression that I'm not entirely interested about what's going on in the class. The other one is maybe walking around with your hands crossed all the time. Again, this is one of those that's kind of like, I don't really care what's going on. And this is one of those things where I think you're probably doing it unconsciously. Like, you don't know you're doing these small little things that give off a certain impression. But what I'll tell you is, if you become conscious of that and then you understand that like I should be moving around actively, this is when people who finish a class and they're exhausted like emotionally just because they put on a performance for an hour, they're not doing any of those things because they're constantly moving around, interacting with people, and it literally leaves no time for this or drinking coffee, you know, or texting or things of that nature. So again, I wanted to assume that people knew that you shouldn't be doing those things, but that was probably inaccurate. So I just wanted to touch on it. Like, you shouldn't be doing those things when you're coaching. Be present. When you step in front of the class and you start giving the brief and you're the coach and you're on the floor, be present. Give the people that are on the floor everything you got for 60 minutes or 2 hours if you're coaching back to back or 3 hours if you're coaching back to back to back. It doesn't matter. Like, be present in the moment, give them everything you got, and don't get distracted. So put your phone away, smash the coffee beforehand, get your pre-workout in or your post-workout in before you step on the floor and you teach the class. Like, you owe those people that. They came there to be coached by you. They want to be coached by you. So don't get distracted. Don't do them the disservice of not paying attention to what's going on. Imagine you went to like, everybody's had bad service at a restaurant, or maybe you want something a little bit more intimate if you've ever been to like counseling or something like that. What if you walk into a counselor's office and they literally never looked up at you when you're telling them your deepest, darkest problems, and you would feel like they didn't give a crap about you? That's what you're telling people when you do small things like put your hands in your pocket, cross your arms, you know, drinking coffee while they're doing that. So try to avoid those things. Be a little bit more conscious of your demeanor, your physical presence, what you're doing with your hands, how you say things when you step in front of the class, because stuff's important and people read those interactions. You may not think they read them, but they do. Everything that you do is interpreted by somebody else, and you actually have the opportunity to determine how that's interpreted by being aware of your own posture, your hand gestures, things like that, what you're doing when you're talking, stuff like that. So again, if you haven't read those 2 books, I highly recommend it. How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The Charisma Myth. The Charisma Myth is a little harder to read. The first couple chapters are a little dry, but once you get into it, there's some really, really insightful stuff in there about how to say things, physical postures that say different stuff. But it's a good read, and if you're interacting with people on a very regular basis, like we are in the floor, really, really useful stuff. So I wanted to touch on that because it's something that we assume that people know they should and shouldn't do, but it's not necessarily the case. So try it out, maybe videotape your class and see if you do any of those things by accident, just to be aware of it. But we can all work on our presence and attitude a little bit more. So if you like that stuff, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.